Hello, Bronco fans and football fans everywhere. Welcome to Broncos Breakdown. This is Wednesday, January 12th, 2022. I am your host, Bronco Bill. All right, guys, this is going to be a very, very fun video. I'm bringing in a special guest. Um, his name is Mundungus Creevy. He is I'll let him introduce himself. So, Mundungus, when you're ready, how you doing, my
Hey,
friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. So go ahead and introduce yourself. It's my pleasure to have you.
I am. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I am Mundungus Creevy. I'm the end all be all for the MHRT network.
There you go. There
No,
you
I
go.
am. I'm the host of the MHRT podcast, and I'm the basically the producer of the MHRT network. We have another show called the Nothing Rhymes Orange and Blue podcast, and we do live broadcasts of Broncos related things every Tuesday and Thursday at 7654.
There you go. You can't get any better than that. That's for sure. Uh, Madungus, it's a pleasure. I'd like to start out with the Bronco ownership. We all know that the right of first refusal was overturned yesterday in Denver. So that means that the team can be sold to any high bidder. My question to you is: would you rather have a Manning group, an Elway group, or somebody individual? What do you think?
Manning, not even close. And I kind of got in this fight yesterday because I said, you've got Manning and Elway basically going against each other. We've already seen an Elway GM
Hmm.
term. I don't know if I want to see an Elway ownership.
I
I'm
agree.
not saying he was a terrible GM, but after Manning left, there really wasn't very good decision making as far as staff and personnel go. And when you're an owner, you're not worried so much about the players that you have on the team and the roster and the depth. You're worried about front office staff. You're worried about coaching staff. You're worried about vice presidents and presidents and things like that. And those are the things that Elway wasn't the greatest at. And I'm
I
not
agree.
saying he couldn't get better. I'm not saying it wouldn't be better, but I think I'd rather have a Manning ownership, honestly.
Well, the way I look at it too is Manning loves Colorado. He's a face of Colorado at this point in time. Elway's lost a little bit of favor because of his GM status and his horrible draft choices. Manning, to me, he knows football. Not that Manning, I mean, not excuse me, not that Elway doesn't, but Manning knows football. He loves football, and he has the resources uh, to be the face of an organization. I sure hope it happens. I'm not sure it's going to. I don't know, but I sure hope it does.
Yeah, and I know that there was a story out there about the Manning family in general trying to get into ownership. So it wouldn't be just Peyton; it'd be Peyton, Eli, his dad, probably his other brother, and I guess they were saying that a lot of the contracts that they had signed when they were NFL quarterbacks, most of it went to set aside to potentially go into ownership. So I think combined, Eli and Peyton had put together like 650 million.
Well, there
Um,
you go. They could be majority owner combined, and that would be a good
yeah.
thing. Good thing. Okay, now that takes me on to head coach. Now there are 10 names that I've come across, and five are on the defensive side, five are on the offensive side. Before I read those names, we all know that the last two defensive coordinator-minded head coaches in Joseph and Fangio have not worked out. So I'm going to read these 10 names. You tell me who you'd like to have as head coach and or offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. Okay, the names are Eric Bieniemy from KC, Brian Callahan from Cincinnati, Nathaniel Hackett from Green Bay, Kellen Moore from Dallas, Kevin O'Connor from the Rams. Those are the offensive side. Jonathan Gannon from Philadelphia, Luke Getsy from Green Bay, Jared Mayo from New England, Aaron Glenn from Detroit, and of course Dan Quinn from Dallas. What do you say?
Okay, so I kind of talked about this yesterday because, in my opinion, it's probably going to be Dan Quinn. That's what I would assume is going to happen. And if it is Dan Quinn, I would like to have Dan Quinn as head coach. Mike McDaniel, who isn't set up to have an interview right now with the Broncos, but he's the offensive coordinator / passing game coordinator with the Niners. I'd like Mike McDaniel as offensive coordinator and Gerard Mayo as defensive coordinator.
Interesting
But
names.
my ultimate list would be Nathaniel Hackett as head coach, Luke Getsy as offensive coordinator, and Gerard Mayo again. I really do like Gerard Mayo as defensive coordinator. And Luke Getsy, I assumed if Nathaniel Hackett gets the job, is going to bring over Luke Getsy, who's the quarterback's coach, the passing game coordinator over at Green Bay with Hackett. So I figured he'd bring him over as his offensive coordinator.
Well, if that's the case from Green Bay, do you think we have a shot at Aaron Rodgers? Because he's talking about retirement.
There's so many stories on people saying that Aaron Rodgers will never go anywhere. Same thing with Russell Wilson, like he'll never leave. Denver never has a shot. If you look at what happened this offseason and what's going to happen this offseason, if Aaron Rodgers does not agree to restructure his contract with the Green Bay Packers, they cannot afford him. He's a $46 million cap hit, and they're already negative. If they don't restructure Aaron Rodgers, they're going to be about $46 million in the hole on their cap. And so there's no way that they'll be able to afford Aaron Rodgers or Devontae Adams or both without Aaron Rodgers restructuring his contract. So Aaron Rodgers could basically say, hey, Gunther Kunst, you already said last offseason that if I wanted to trade, you'd give it to me. Well, you can't afford me, and I'm not restructuring. I want to trade. So, I mean, there's definitely a shot.
True. But there's also Russell Wilson. I also heard that Seattle's not even willing to talk about trading him. So that could leave the two highest commodities out there not going to Denver. And then that leads me into my next question would be quarterbacks. Do we keep both Bridgewater and Locke, or do we put them into a package as a trade to get somebody like a Rodgers or Wilson, or are we stuck with Locke and or Bridgewater going forward in a draft?
This is what I'm seeing so far. So Teddy Bridgewater is an absolutely not. He's not coming back. He'll be going somewhere else. If he even plays again, which I don't necessarily know if he should. Not because he's not a good quarterback, he's not a good guy, but health-wise, I don't know if he should. Right. Drew Lock, I think that there is still a glimmer of a chance that we go into next season with Drew Lock as our starting quarterback. Just because if we can't get Aaron Rodgers, we can't get Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins doesn't come out of Minnesota, Matt Ryan's not going to leave Atlanta, Baker Mayfield isn't really an upgrade, so I don't. No. Not at all. I mean, if you look at the quarterback market, free agent and draft, there really isn't an upgrade over Drew Lock, unless you get a big trade.
What about the Nevada quarterback? I heard that he's been mentioned.
He has, but I don't think that there's any quarterback right now that's in the draft that can start day one. No, I don't. This isn't that kind of draft. So either way you're looking at it, if you don't get a Rodgers or a Wilson, you're looking at, okay, so free agent quarterbacks are Marcus Mariota, and that's about it as far as like a quarterback that could be good but might not be. You don't know unless you want to go with an Andy Dalton, and no, thank you. Or you could swing a lower end trade like for a Gardner Minshew, which I'm down with. I'm perfectly fine with Gardner Minshew. You know, he showed a lot as far as talent and skill when he was with Jacksonville, and all he had was DJ Chark. That's it.
True.
And then when he had his two starts in Philly, obviously his first one was better than his last one, but both weren't bad. And so, I mean, you take Gardner Minshew and put him on Denver with the roster that we have, I don't see why he couldn't be a good quarterback. But is Gardner Minshew an upgrade or a big upgrade over Drew Lock? I don't know. It depends on which Drew Lock you're getting. Are you getting the one from these last three games where he was Teddy Bridgewater-esque,
Mm-hmm.
or are we getting the Drew Lock from last year, which is YOLO ball, and whoever comes
Throwing
down
in
with it comes
and,
down with it.
and throwing into triple coverage. I also heard and saw something on Twitter today that said to put trade for Aaron Rodgers this package: Bridgewater, Lock, Judy, 2 firsts, and a third. I said you're out of your mind. There's no way.
There's
There's no
no
way.
way. Teddy Bridgewater isn't even under contract to trade him. Why would they want Drew Lock when they have Jordan Love?
Exactly.
And there's no way that Denver gets rid of Judy.
Mm-hmm.
I saw there's something I saw that was like 2 firsts, a third, Chubb and Judy, and I was like, no, it would be more like or Draymond Jones and Judy, and I was like, there's no way Denver's getting rid of Judy and Draymond Jones.
No.
Draymond Jones is a future franchise defensive player. Not going to happen.
Right.
I could see 2 or 3 firsts, probably a couple seconds, and then you're looking at. I would rather have Chubb and Fant on the trade block than.
What?
Well, and the only reason I say that is because one, you have Chubb, who's got a history of injuries,
True.
and when you look at our outside linebackers, if we retain Stephen Weatherly, you have Stephen Weatherly and Jonathan Cooper on the outside, and that doesn't include Malik Reed. So I mean, we have options at outside linebacker, and then with Noah Fant, I don't know. Especially this year, it seemed like it was. There were games where he was just like, I don't want to play, I don't care. And then there was other games where he seemed like he was really good. And then you've got Albert Okwuegbunam, who was crushing it this year.
Mm-hmm.
So do I want to get rid of him? No. But would I rather get rid of Fant over Judy? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I would have to agree with that. I'd not give up Judy whatsoever. Noah Fant, he really produced these last couple of games. But then Okwuegbunam, the guy's just a stud. The guy is a stud. So yeah, if I had to choose between the two, yeah, I would say okay, part with Noah Fant. What do you think about the possibility of not having any quarterback other than Drew Lock starting the season with an offensive coordinator that calls plays and orchestrates game plan to his strengths, like we saw the last 3 games? Do you think that's a possibility, and that George Payton just sticks with what he has now and have the offensive coordinator that comes in? You're shaking your head. No, you don't go with that.
There's no shot that Drew Lock is the only veteran quarterback on the team. Not even a chance, because again, you don't know what you're getting. And do I think that Drew Lock is a terrible quarterback? No, absolutely not. I think he's a great backup quarterback, but he hasn't proven that he can be that franchise starter yet.
He hasn't had an offensive coordinator
But his three best games, and even when you go back to Scangarello, because there's a whole lot of talk about Scangarello and how well Drew Lock did under Scangarello. That's not exactly accurate. Right. Drew Lock was still having the same problems that he had last year when he went 4-1 with Scangarello. Scangarello was able to scheme the offense better than Shermer was. So it wasn't so much a Drew Lock thing as it was an offensive scheme thing. But the best games that we've seen lately out of Drew Lock were these last 3 games. And he was good, but he wasn't that quarterback that, like, you're still seeing those plays where it's like run, short pass, run, incomplete, overthrow, big play, run, incomplete. Like, that's what you're seeing. And I know that that's like a Shermer thing, but at the same time, one of the reasons why we got Teddy Bridgewater is because he was more accurate than Drew Lock was. And that's why, like, at the beginning of the season, it's like, you know what, if you could take Teddy Bridgewater and combine him with Drew Lock, perfect quarterback. That's exactly what you want. The problem is that Drew Lock has shown improvement in decision-making, but you still saw him throw the ball in the Chiefs game at least 2 or 3 times into double, triple coverage. And the announcers on the TV were like, what are you doing? which is the exact same thing that we were saying. What are you doing?
Right.
Those are like, he is not accurate enough at this point to be able to thread it into double, triple coverage. And he's proven that time and time again. Right. And that's why if we're not able to get those big name veteran quarterbacks, I'm thinking like a Gardner Minshew or a Marcus Mariota or an Andy Dalton or something like that, where you have that veteran quarterback that you can compete with Drew Lock for the starting job. And if Lock wins, you have that veteran backup there. But I still stand with the coaching staff and the front office did not believe or trust in Drew Lock this year because of what he played like last year.
Well, yeah, you can only go by what you've done. I mean, you would like to hope and project that you'd get better, but what have you done for me lately? And that's the whole thing. Okay, last question. The last 3 games that Drew Lock played, and let's go back to the Kansas City game because that really surprised me because I figured it was going to be 41-10 Kansas City. But Denver came out and played with their hearts, and even Drew Lock played with his heart. A 9-yard touchdown run, a 23-yard touchdown run. Obviously, our Achilles heel was the fumble by Melvin Gordon that sealed the deal.
Yeah.
Okay, do you think going forward with Drew Lock and that type of game that he can produce, whether he's a starter or a backup, could he produce at that level what we saw against Kansas City, or was that an absolute mirage?
No, I think that he could be better. Again, we've had Pat Shurmur over the last 2 years, and Pat Shurmur does not work well with young quarterbacks. He does better with older veteran quarterbacks that have some experience, kind of like you saw with Case Keenum. Like, that's the kind of guy he wants, and that's not what Drew Lock is. I think that depending on, like, if, for example, if you have Nathaniel Hackett or you have Dan Quinn with Mike McDaniel, I definitely think that Drew Lock could get a whole lot better with the right offensive coordinator. Do I think that Drew Lock is going to be able to be that franchise quarterback? I don't know. I like, if you look at Drew Lock and you look at Ryan Fitzpatrick, the only difference is Ryan Fitzpatrick has a beard and he's a lot older. But like, if you look at how they play and how they process things, it's exactly the same thing. Like, Ryan Fitzpatrick is a YOLO ball kind of guy, and that's what Drew Lock is. You only live once. Chuck the ball up and see who goes and gets it. That's exactly like him, and Ryan Fitzpatrick are the same. So do I think that Drew Lock can be a franchise quarterback? I think he could be close, but I think he's probably going to end up being a journeyman quarterback, going between starter and backup.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I'd have to agree. Of course, that just leaves this whole off-season way up in the air, and we'll just have to see what direction we go, what kind of ownership we get, what kind of head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback, everything we've mentioned today. But that's I don't see I just don't see Drew Lock being our franchise quarterback, and I have to agree with that.
No, and like you said, this offseason is going to be nuts. Like last offseason, we were talking like, will Von Miller come back or not? And that was it. That's the storyline we had. And so this offseason, it's like new coach, new coordinators, new quarterback, new ownership. Like, you're looking at a change all across the board. And plus we're getting George Payton's first full offseason as general manager. And so, look at
and John Elway and Joe Ellis will be out of the picture.
Yep. And you're looking at, you look at George Payton's last draft class. Like, normally a draft class has 2 to 3, maybe 4 starters in the draft class. We had what? 6? Yeah. Cooper, Browning, Williams, Miners. Who am I missing? Stearns. I'm missing an outside linebacker. Did I say Cooper? I did say Cooper.
Yeah.
So we had 5, potentially
Cooper,
6.
Browning. Yep.
Like, that is a fantastic draft.
Absolutely. And then, of course, people say that we should have taken Justin Fields when we took Patrick SirTan. I say no. I say I love Patrick SirTan.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you're going to draft a quarterback, it has to be a quarterback that you believe in, which is the exact problem that we're having with Drew Lock. Like, we
Mhm.
don't know who believes in what. So if Justin Fields is sitting there and he's available, yeah, he's one of the highly regarded quarterbacks of the draft. But if your scouts are rating him below Trey Lance or rating him below Patrick Surtain, why would you go for a quarterback that you don't necessarily believe in when you have Patrick Surtain sitting there?
Exactly.
So, and you look at take Justin Fields and or Drew Lock for example.
Mhm.
Would Drew Lock have played any different under a different offensive coordinator, different coach? Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Would Justin Fields have played better under a different offensive coordinator coach? Probably.
Mhm.
We have no idea how Justin Fields would have played under this coordinator and this offense. I can probably guess that he would probably not be good.
No,
I mean, you throw any
not with
quarterback
Sherman.
that's a rookie with Pat Shermer, good luck.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why I love that draft pick, Sertan, because Sertan can come in, play right away. The guy should be rookie of the year. In my opinion, he should be rookie
He
of the
should
year.
have made the Pro Bowl.
Oh, he should have. Absolutely. I do not understand that whatsoever. I don't know if it's
He should
because
have made
the
the Pro Bowl. There should have been Bowles should have made it again.
mhm,
Simmons should have made it.
mhm,
I don't understand why. I guess I kind of like Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon,
mhm.
like two running backs on the same team, both with over 900 yards. Why would neither one of them make it? It doesn't make any
Exactly.
sense to me.
I just have a feeling the NFL's out for him for various reasons. Maybe ownership, maybe I don't know, a personal thing. I'm not sure, but it just seems like
Well,
the Broncos get snubbed left and right.
and I think they need to change the way that they do the Pro Bowl. Like I know that the Pro Bowl is a fan led thing,
Hmm.
and so basically the Pro Bowl comes down to a popularity contest. They need to change the way that it's voted on. Like instead of having the majority of fans vote for who it's going to be, have
Hmm.
like 75% of the final vote come down to players, and then 25% come down to the fans.
I agree. I agree because then it makes it more fair. Obviously, like you said, it's a popularity contest. So somebody like a Drew Brees, I know he's not in the league anymore, but I'm just saying, even when they have their down years, or a Aaron Rodgers or something, if it has a down year, they're going to get voted in because of the simple fact that it's a popularity vote.
Like if Aaron Rodgers went down in the first quarter of the first game with an ACL tear, he
Hmm.
would still make the Pro Bowl over some other
Yeah,
quarterbacks, and he
exactly,
hasn't even played all season.
exactly. And I know that the Pro Bowl is geared for the fans. I know that it's supposed to be a showcase of the players for the fans, but you have to recognize athleticism. You have to recognize greatness, and Sertan should be there, and so should Simmons. I totally agree.
And I kind of wish that they would like take the names off of the vote, and you're just voting on stats.
Oh, that'd be
So
great.
all you can see is the stat line, like, oh,
Mhm.
well, that guy definitely deserves it. And then it's like it turns out to be like you're a Broncos fan, you're voting for Travis Kelsey. You're like, wait a minute, no, take that back.
Exactly. Oh, rename. Oh, I guess I can't say that, huh? Well, I just did. So,
Redo, we want to redo.
I did. Wow, I did say redo, but that was close. Mike, excuse me, Mungdungus, this has been great. Really appreciate you being on. You got any final thoughts you want to throw in? Be my guest.
I don't know. Like, there's so much going on. I think that the coaching search will be done probably around Super Bowl time. So within the next 2-3 weeks, we should have an answer. I still think it's going to be Dan Quinn. Once we figure out who the head coach is, don't be surprised if one or two or more of your favorite players are not on the team next year.
Oh, really?
Like for me,
Hmm.
Stephen Weatherly is like my boo. Like I love Stephen Weatherly.
Hmm.
His nickname is the Mad Scientist. If anybody doesn't know that,
Yep.
I love Stephen Weatherly. But I'm fully expecting with a new coach that he might not be back. Same thing with Kenny Young.
Ooh.
He might not be back. Um, there's it's probably going to happen. So just be aware that one or more of your favorite players might not come back once that coaching search is done.
How about Melvin Gordon?
he better come back. I hope he does.
I agree.
Like I know that I think he had 3 fumbles on the year. He lost 2. Does it suck? Does it suck? Yeah, it sucks. But at the same time, the guy had 17 touchdowns this year. Yeah. Who's going to replace 17 touchdowns? Like, I know Javonte Williams is really good, but he also struggled in the red zone. Melvin Gordon did not. Like, if there's like, if you want to give, like, if Derrick Henry becomes available, go get him. But other than that, no, keep Melvin Gordon. There's a good relationship there, and 17 touchdowns. That's a lot of points.
Absolutely. I totally agree. But isn't he on it? I think he's on his last contract, his last year. They only signed him for 1 year.
Yeah, he's going to be a free agent. So I'm hoping that they re-sign him. I'm guessing they will, but it's not going to be at $8 million a year. I'm thinking it'll be around 4 or 5.
Well, I hope he takes it anyways, because we definitely need that 1-2 punch. It was solid this year with 900 yards each. That's outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Mike, I don't know why I keep calling you that.
I'm called both. Like, I came into this whole thing of like, okay, my online thing is Mundungus, and that's what people are going to know me as. Right. And then the second I brought in Glenn, he just started calling me Mike everywhere. I'm like, well, you're kind of ruining it, Glenn. So if anybody calls me Mike, it's Glenn's fault. Just blame Glenn for everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can say what we want. Glenn's not on here.
That's right. And if he sees it, he'll call me and be like, listen, why are you blaming me? It's like, well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We're going to wrap this up. But Dungus, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for your insight. And one more time, you want to say where you're from, and so people can tune in. Go ahead and just run it through. We'll just go out with that.
Yeah, I'm from the and started the MHRT network. We have 2 podcasts: the MHRT podcast and the Nothing Rhymes the Orange and Blue podcast. We go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 7654 on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Go ahead and like, subscribe, join us in the live chat, give us some comments, send us emails, whatever you want to do. We'll definitely respond. We have to, because I get them and they notify, bing, and then my wife gets mad because my phone keeps going off. So go ahead and hit us up, and we'll get back to you.
Absolutely. Hey guys, subscribe, watch. The shows are amazing, and I'm not just blowing smoke. It's true. Mundungus, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate it. Thanks again for being on. And guys out there, Broncos Breakdown will be every single week during the off season. And we're going to bring it to you. Please leave your comments, questions, concerns, whatever you have. I will answer honestly and respectfully. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.